this, how is your turnover rate? And he said he owns a few single families, and he's got long-term tenants, like 3 years plus. And then, so to add to that question, he has most of his tenants are long-term. So, how is your turnover? Do you get a lot of long-term tenants, things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we first take over a property and inherit tenants, those tenants usually move out because, like I said, they then realize professional management is in place, right? Their system, you're late, you're getting a 3-day notice and a 7-day notice and all that. And they realize, all right, that usually if they can get away with things, the party's over, right? Or they just stop paying altogether. So
Gotcha.
we deal with, I would say, usually on the multifamily, a good amount of turnover in the beginning. But then after my property management company gets a tenant in, they've been very good at keeping the tenant in because they communicate back to systems 3 months before the move out. And 2, when you take over apartments, usually a lot of them are month to month. So that means we've had like 4 people move out in a week. That sucks. It really does because it's unexpected too. And the property manager hasn't had time to like really market the property, get it up to speed. Then you got to fix whatever's in there and get it show ready. So it sucks, dude. It really does. But after that, we've been really good. On the single family side, I do agree people tend to stay a little bit longer, right? But yeah, all over the board, I would say.
Most definitely. And by the way, Caleb, you put this out there. Do we wholesale? I wholesale. And Tony does not. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I've never wholesaled.
Exactly. So I wholesale. If you're looking for if you're looking to JV with it or do any deals together, hit me up. My information's here at the bottom. So now, so with that being said, your tenant, this is what I've noticed is that most in apartment buildings, most of your tenants are a few years old, they're a few years and then they want to move on and buy their own house or things like that. Or you get these long-term tenants that are, they're just happy and comfortable with where they're at, So do you have any, let me ask this, do you have any horror stories of any tenants, or like you bought a building and inherited these tenants and they're trashy, like, you can go into whatever horror story you want. What's your
nothing too crazy, I would say. In our Fraser duplex, we inherited the tenants there, and one guy, it was really sad actually, had like 4 small children there, and it wasn't really good living conditions. But he like trashed the place, like $10,000 worth of damage, punched hole in the walls, let his kids draw on the walls. So again, inherited tenants, we didn't have social security number, we didn't have driver's license, any of that. And my property manager's like, we're going to send you to collections. Yeah. And he goes, good luck. You know what I mean? So yeah, very important, man. And that's why I don't understand the no money down stuff, because then what do you do in that instance? You got $10,000 worth of damage. How do you fix that if you're like a no money down investor? You know what I mean? Like, I guess you can use credit cards, but real estate is very powerful, but it's capital intensive if you're buying like fixer upper and value add, all that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty crappy. Like the DeWitt property having 3 air conditioners not really working, and see, it's sad too. That's what these landlords will do, is they'll say, well, I don't charge you what the rent should be, so I'm not fixing these problems.
Right.
And it's sad. And we don't operate that way. Like we make sure families are taken care of. Like my morals don't allow me to go that way. Right. So
creative ways that you can do things, but either way, whether you're in multifamily or single family, you're inheriting somebody else's problem. You have to figure out a way to fix it.
Yep.
So don't think you're going to come in there. It's funny because when I hear people say, "Oh, this is rent ready," nothing's ever rent ready.
Right.
Okay. Right. You always got to do something, clean up, touch up. If it was rent ready, what they would be doing is they put it on the MLS and have a retail buyer.
Bingo. Exactly. That's rent ready. And 2, to even add to that, you got to remember, Then you got to go get it rental certified with the city.
Yep.
So then, because that's another thing too we've learned. Cities love new owners because then they can start to come through and ding you for every little thing. Hazel Park. I mean, I guess a slight horror story, be concise here. Someone, the apartments you mentioned, or Woodward Heights apartments, someone came and trashed the dumpster. It wasn't even our tenants. Threw a bunch of crap in the dumpster. No notice, no phone call, nothing. I get a misdemeanor in the mail. In my name, misdemeanor. Dude, I don't even have a speeding ticket in my name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Misdemeanor. So my wife has to call our attorney. He calls the city prosecutor, right? And says, first off, go to the property manager because my owner doesn't even manage it and all this stuff. $1,000 fine. Okay, they waived the misdemeanor. They're like, you have to go to court. I'm like, I called my lawyer. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking court. Get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going in front of a judge like I'm a fucking criminal. Excuse my language.
Yep.
But, $1,000 fine. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Not pay it? Not pay it?
No, you got to, if they're the government, you got to pay them.
So, you know, there's now, does that outweigh all the benefits of it? Of course not. But that's what I mean. This is a business and it's a real asset. You know what I mean? If you make a mistake with a stock, you can just trade out of it and count your losses, walk away. This is a business, so just know what you're getting into. The big theme of what we talked about here on this talk.
Yep.
Start with education.
100% agree with you on that. Into doing you say what you're doing now, okay, and you're looking to do more, 30 plus units and kind of going there. What is your ultimate goal in the future, say 5-10 years down the road?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I've shuffled a lot of different goals, and I've kind of learned in business to be very fluid and flexible. I don't believe in 10-year plans because, I mean, look at 3 years ago. If in 2018 you would have been like, there's going to be a virus that comes over from the foreign seas, China, wherever, right? And it is going to cause the entire global economy to come to a screeching halt. We would have been like, no fucking way, right? No,
exactly.
It doesn't exist. Well, COVID came and literally changed the world. So I think 10-year plans are honestly BS, especially in business, because things are changing so rapidly. So, we want to continue to buy the biggest, best assets we can. We are going to trade out of our smaller properties over time. Like I said, I've evolved a lot as an investor. At first I was like Gary Keller style, like buy everything, pay off the debt, own it all outright. Now I'm like, God dang, I don't want to replace a roof on a Royal Oak home. I don't want to dig up a sewer line on a Royal Oak home. I want to trade that. If I can trade that 1 unit for an 8 unit and that 8 unit for a 16 and that 16 for a 32, and I was like, I want to own 1,000 units. I don't know. Do I, or do I just want to have, I think if I could get to $100,000 a month in pure and free cash flow by the time it's all said and done, I think that would be a great accomplishment, because that's more than enough than, my wife and I need to live on. More than enough, right? I think that would be, I think more I've learned as an investor, it's not about the total amount of units. It's about the quality of the units and the passive income. Right?
Yep. 100%. And that's kind of where, my goal is, I have a very simple goal in the future. And my goal is I want to be able to have enough cash flow to where I can pick up and go for a month and not have to worry about my bills. I think that's very doable and very reasonable. And, I will be there within the next, I'll say 5 to 10 years. How are you managing your time? Let me ask you that, because that's a better question. How are you managing your time between, all your businesses?
Yeah, a great question. I've learned to say no a lot, and I learned early on when I was growing and scaling my company and still in the time for money phase, right? That it's not, entrepreneurs confuse movement for accomplishment, right? Entrepreneurs wear the badge of honor. I'm so busy, right? If you ask an entrepreneur, how you doing? I'm busy. I don't want to be busy. I want to be productive, right?
Yep.
If I can get everything I need to get done in 3 hours, that's the goal. It's not to be busy. So I've learned to distractions destroy businesses. So I've learned to eliminate distractions. I've learned to delegate what I need to delegate. I've learned to eliminate what's not important and focus on what I call my 5%. In every business, there's 5% that moves the needle, right?
Yep.
5% of tasks move the needle. Everything else is irrelevant or expendable or, able to be delegated. So you learn over time from burning yourself out, from working endless hours, from hitting the wall, that there's really only a few things that are super, super important in the business. And most entrepreneurs avoid those things. Like, I'm sure as a wholesaler, that's cold calling people, right?
Yep.
You're not like, what's my logo gonna be? What's my website gonna, what's my Instagram post? It's like, I need to get on the phone. I know I need to make 100 calls, because every time I make 100 calls, I get 10 contacts. Every 10 contacts I get 5 deals. But entrepreneurs also avoid, as humans, we avoid what's hard. Because when you cold call, you deal with what? Rejection, rude, people, whatever, right?
I've been cussed out so many times.
Right.
Calling.
So it's about understanding what we call your MITs, your most important task. What moves the needle forward? What's the money task in a business that moves the needle forward? And then attacking that first and foremost, right?
Yep.
And focusing on that and getting rid of the distractions, because distractions will destroy a business.
100% agree with you on that. Did you take what you learned and put it into action so that you can actually make a living out of it?
100%, man. I was fortunate. I was always a commissioned person. So even with my dietetics degree, it's a 5-year medical degree. I never had a salary. So I was always conditioned, and as a personal trainer, if you don't have a client, you don't make money. So I was very conditioned to, I never got paid to clock in and just to show up. So that was a blessing in disguise, number one. And number two, I just understood information is useless. It's application, like you said. And I knew I burned the boats. There was no other option. I told my dad I quit my job. He's like, you're an idiot. He's like, you're making $90,000 a year at Lifetime Fitness. You have an office. You have a nice title. You have a healthcare. He's like, you're an idiot. He's like, if you fail, I can't help you. I'm like, you're good. I don't need it. I believed in myself so much. I was scared. I was definitely scared. I was definitely nervous. I was definitely in fear. I had more faith than fear. And it's one of the most powerful sayings is that when your why is powerful enough, you can endure anyhow, right? You can endure any struggle. So for anyone looking to be an entrepreneur, start a business, start this, you just have to know your why. Like, it's very cliche to say, but it's from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. When the why is powerful enough, you can endure any struggle, any challenge, and the how appears.
Yes, 100%. I completely agree with you on that. And it's, everyone has their why. Everyone has their, they may not know exactly how they're going to do things, but they at least have their why they need to do it, and that's what fuels everybody. Your why is what fuels you, and you'll figure out how to do it, because you're like, hey, what's the alternative?
Right.
So 100% agree with you on that. And appreciate you, Tony. Appreciate everyone out there. If you are looking to JV with me or find other deals or anything like that, get a hold of me. In all social media platforms, Randy Steadwell, as well as my phone number is right here, just right here. And as well as email me. It's been scrolling this whole time. My email here, Randy buys houses mi@gmail.com. So with that, we appreciate you. We appreciate everyone out there listening, everyone who's added to the conversation, asking questions.